Hello, third graders. We are still studying the ancient Roman civilization. This is lesson 12, the Western and Eastern Empires. Here's some vocabulary words you will hear throughout the read aloud. Complex is an adjective. It means made up of many related parts and possibly difficult to understand. Dominant means more powerful or important than someone or something else leading. Persecuted is a verb. It means treated cruelly, often because of religious beliefs, skin color, or political beliefs. Mistreated. Vision is a mental image of something, a clear idea about how something should be done. So what have we learned so far? How do we know there was a civilization in Rome in ancient times? How do we know about it? The Romans were a group of people living together in a well-organized way. They built cities, developed writing system, had leaders and laws, practiced religion, grew their own food by farming, had different people doing different jobs. And we know this because we've found different artifacts and ruins and buildings that are left over, and even some writing that was done during the Roman Empire. Who are the main characters in the legend about the founding of Rome? That's right, our friends Romulus and Remus. What facts can you remember about Julius Caesar? He was an accomplished soldier. He was the dictator of Rome. He conquered the land of Gaul to the north of Rome. And he secured the alliance between Rome and Egypt with Cleopatra. What facts do you remember about Augustus Caesar? He was Julius Caesar's successor and also his adopted son. He was the first emperor of Rome, greatly expanded the empire, and it reached its vastness, its biggest. The Roman Empire was the biggest when Augustus Caesar was in charge. And he instated the Pax Romana, right? They had a 200 period of peace thanks to Augustus Caesar. What events contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire? Many emperors and senators became greedy and selfish. Real problems were ignored. Rome hired mercenaries instead of asking their own citizens to fight for Rome. Citizens of Rome grew weak and lazy. Children barely learned the history of Rome's greatness or power. Today you will learn why the ancient Roman Empire was officially divided into two different areas. You continue to learn more about the decline of the Roman Empire. Think about the eastern and western side of the Roman Empire. So when you look at a map, going this way is eastern and going this way is western. So if it was split, the western side would be over here, the eastern side would be over here. So we know that going up is north and going down is south. In the previous lesson, you learned about the many invasions that led to the decline of Rome. You learned that the Roman armies had become weak compared to the days of Julius and Augustus Caesar, and that they relied on paid soldiers or mercenaries to protect Rome. You also learned about how the Roman emperors and senators wasted lots of money on bread and circuses, gladiator games, chariot races, and other luxuries, but did not spend money on the things that would keep Rome safe. In other words, these people fiddled while Rome burned, right? We learned about Nero and what it means to fiddle while Rome burned. What is happening in this picture? Who were mercenaries? Well, in this picture, we see that people are leaving. It looks like they used to be soldiers because we see their spears on the ground. And instead of protecting Rome, they are running away because they were just mercenaries, paid soldiers, and they didn't want to stay and fight. The Roman Empire simply became too vast to handle. It was impossible for a single emperor working with senators and proconsuls to control everything that was happening over thousands of miles of Roman territory. And there were many selfish emperors as well. The governors and generals in charge of the Roman provinces could do as they pleased. Over the course of many years, Rome itself became less and less important to the people who lived in and ruled the Roman provinces, which stretched from Italy to the surrounding areas of England, France, Spain, North Africa, and the Middle East. What phrase have you learned that means when you travel, you often follow the customs of the foreign place you are visiting? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Roman culture changed in important ways as well. We know that the Romans always tried to bring their own laws, lifestyle, and culture to the countries or tribes they conquered. At the same time, the Romans ended up adopting or taking on parts of the cultures that they conquered. In other words, even though the Romans had their own cultures and traditions, they also picked up new ideas and customs from the people they met in faraway places. One of the biggest changes in the Roman culture involved the rise of Christianity, the religion based on the teachings of Jesus Christ. Among other places, the Romans conquered Jerusalem and the surrounding lands, so they were in charge of the area where Jesus Christ was born. So you can see on this map where Israel is and where Rome was. Over here, Rome, Italy. And that they had conquered all of this area into Israel and where Jesus was born in Nazareth. In his lifetime, Jesus Christ was known as a teacher. He told parables, which are stories with important lessons about life and about God. Many people, including his 12 apostles who followed him everywhere, believed Jesus Christ was the Son of God who had come to the earth to bring a message of peace and hope from God. And we know to die for people's sins right on the cross. One of the most important symbols of Christianity is the cross. Jesus Christ was crucified or killed upon a cross. In Roman times, crucifixion was a common punishment for criminals, but Jesus Christ was not a thief or murderer. He was accused of treason against the Roman Empire, meaning many Romans thought he was trying to overthrow their power. Jesus was not, however, found guilty of any crimes by the Roman governor Pilate. All right, but he was still crucified, right? Because the Jewish people, his own people, decided that they wanted, especially the leaders, they wanted him dead because he was saying that he was the Son of God and he'd come to save them. And they didn't think that was true, or at least the leaders didn't, because they thought the Son of God was supposed to come and overthrow Rome. And Jesus came and he preached peace and he healed people. Christians believe that after Jesus Christ died, he came back to life and rose from the dead, an event known as the resurrection. Jesus Christ became the central figure in the religion of Christianity, which slowly but steadily spread from Jerusalem in all directions. At first, many Romans did not like the Christians. Christians refused to accept and worship Roman gods, so right away there was conflict between the two groups. However, some Romans understood that different people worshipped and prayed to different gods. So some Christians were allowed to worship and build churches in Rome and other parts of the empire, but that does not mean that the Roman emperors favored this. Some, including the fiddling Emperor Nero you have learned about, really hated the Christians and did awful things to stop the spread of Christianity in the Roman Empire. For the first couple hundred years after the start of Christianity, Christians were often persecuted, tortured, and harassed through the Roman Empire because they would not worship Roman gods and goddesses and the emperor himself, because the emperor was considered a god. Many Christians worshipped in secret to avoid persecution. Sometimes they would be thrown to the lions. Eventually, however, many Romans started believing in and following the teachings of Christianity. Rome became a very important center of Christianity, even though most emperors and senators did not like it. By AD 300, so remember AD means after Jesus died, Christianity was spreading and new churches seemed to dot the landscape as abruptly as the ancient temples to Jupiter and Apollo. Around the same time, the empire itself was going through another big change. The Roman Empire was so vast and so complex that it needed to be divided into two parts: the Western Roman Empire, with Rome as its capital, and the Eastern Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire would be ruled from a new capital city called Constantinople. It's kind of a fun word to say, Constantinople. Constantinople was named after an important Roman leader. His name was Constantine the Great. Today, Constantinople is called Istanbul, the capital of Turkey. Did you know Turkey is a country? The Bosporus Strait you have learned about is in Turkey. So remember, a strait is a waterway between two different lands, right? Constantine the Great was the first Christian Roman emperor. He made laws ending the persecution of Christians. In fact, Constantine the Great said that individuals should be allowed to worship whichever god or gods he or she chose. So there were no laws against any religion in the Eastern Roman Empire. Because Constantine the Great was a Christian, under his leadership, Christianity continued to spread. The founding fathers of the United States also believed that citizens should have religious freedom. Who remembers the group of people who fled to the New World to avoid religious persecution from the King of England? That's right, the Pilgrims. They came to the United States so that they could worship God freely and be in the religion that they wanted. Constantine brought new hope and confidence to many Romans. His new city of Constantinople was a chance at a fresh start. Even with this new start, politics were just as difficult in the Eastern Empire as they had been in Rome. Under Constantinople's rule, there was still conflict and warfare. Meanwhile, the city of Rome remained the center of the Western Roman Empire, as well as the center of Christianity. The political situation in Rome was worse than ever. Emperors came and went, and many politicians could hardly agree on anything. Worst of all, wars were breaking out in the north as more and more surrounding tribes started looking for new homes on Roman land. Before the Visigoths invaded and sacked Rome for the first time, Christianity had become the official religion of Rome in the Western Empire. And like the Eastern Empire, there was only one legal religion in Rome. Rome became the center of the Catholic Church, a branch of Christianity, as well as the home of the Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church. But while Christianity was becoming the dominant, most powerful, or common religion in Rome, the people who the Romans considered barbarians were becoming the dominant force along the empire's northern borders. As you have heard, first the Visigoths and then the Vandals sacked Rome, stealing and burning everything in sight. Eventually, the Eastern Roman Empire completely separated from the Western Roman Empire. Once separated, it wasn't called the Eastern Roman Empire anymore. By AD 410, the Eastern Empire was known as the Byzantine Empire. This photograph shows the most famous Byzantine church, the Hagia Sophia. The Byzantines built many churches, but none compared to the Hagia Sophia, which is still standing today after more than 1,600 years. Look, that's what it looks like inside. That is gorgeous. Simply gorgeous. You can see the dome structure in the ceiling that came from Rome when they started making domes. By AD 500, the Western Empire had fallen apart, with most of the provinces falling to one barbarian tribe or another. A Byzantine emperor, Justinian, raised a mighty army and marched west to reconquer the western province, thus waging new wars in the same area Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar had been hundreds of years earlier. As emperor, he developed a book of Roman laws called the Justinian Code. The Justinian Code was a collection of past laws from previous emperors, in addition to laws he developed himself. The Justinian Code is one of Justinian's major accomplishments as emperor. Justinian appears in the center of this mosaic, which you can see today in an Italian church. Despite Justinian's and other emperors' efforts, there was no way to keep the Western Roman Empire together. The Byzantine Empire continued for almost 1,000 years in the East, the Western Empire in Europe, from Italy across France and Germany, and all the way to Britain, drifted into a long, sad period without leadership and vision from the powers of Rome. The glorious Roman Empire finally came to an end. Why was the Roman Empire divided into two parts? The empire was too vast or big and complex to be ruled by one emperor only. Which side of the Roman Empire, the Eastern or the Western, lasted the longest? The Eastern Roman Empire. After the Eastern Roman Empire completely separated from Rome, what new name did the Eastern Empire have? The Byzantine Empire. Describe how Christianity developed in the Roman Empire. Jesus Christ, who was born in this region during this time, was the central figure in Christianity. At first, the Christians were persecuted, but eventually Christianity spread and became the official religion of the Western Empire. It became common in both the Eastern and Western empires of Rome. Who was the first Christian Roman emperor that ended the persecution of Christians in Rome? Constantine the Great. What did Constantine the Great do to promote freedom of religion? He said that individuals could practice whatever religion they wanted. He made sure there were no laws against any religion in the Roman Empire. What was Justinian's major accomplishment as emperor? The Justinian Code. What was the Justinian Code? A collection of past laws from previous emperors, in addition to laws he developed himself during his rule. What city was named after Emperor Constantine? Constantinople. What is the name of the present-day city of Constantinople, and in which country is it located? Istanbul, and it's in Turkey. Our word for today is dominant. In the read aloud you heard, while Christianity was becoming the dominant religion in Rome, the people who the Romans considered barbarians were becoming the dominant force along the empire's northern border. Say the word dominant. Dominant means more powerful or important than someone or something else. Lions are one of the dominant predators in their habitat. So if something's dominant, it is more important or bigger, or there's more of it. Good job, third graders.